And so I'm looking for a couple, like kind of an outline from each of these different groups that are allowed to be open and what they feel like good behaviors are and how you guys are addressing it. What are you doing? So part of this call, I'd love just to understand how you're addressing your reopening. We're going to take notes on that. And because from those notes is where we're going to get kind of that outline from. And we're going to review that outline with you guys that have joined us to assist, to say, yeah, I think that covers us. That looks like the things we talked about. And then we're going to post that as kind of a conversation starter and kind of incentive for others to challenge, like, here's what, the chamber's saying are good things. What else is good? Or, who's doing even more than that? Or what other ideas, so that we can stimulate it. Ideally, though, what we're trying to do is get those bright posters on doors to make sure that those people who are proud of the thought they've put into getting people safe in your place should be rewarded. Those are the ones we're going to promote. Those are the ones we're going to make sure that we don't have any spikes, because we know you guys have done your jobs well. So that's all I'm asking for. So I would love to just start, just understanding from you all. And I apologize, I should ask Ryan if you has anything to kick this off as the chair of this thing as well. I apologize, Ryan.
No, not at all. I just want to say welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending. Thank you for caring. Thank you for volunteering your time. This is definitely a needed component for us to get people back up and running sooner rather than later. And I just think that when we leave this call, just when we're starting these reopening processes, if you could just stress to everyone, that we need to make sure we do this right, we do it safe, we abide by the guidelines we have, because we just do not want the city or the governor to ultimately put back rules. Those rules put in place, as you guys all know, if we get further delayed, it's exponentially worse for our businesses, and it's already tough enough for us and our retailers to stay in business. So just conveying that message to people is critical. So thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Ryan. So how about if we start? Who's already got everything ready to go and is proud of what they've done and feels like they have can start this off by showing confidence in what they're going to do when we open on May 4th? Please.
David, you want to go? David, you're on mute. If you okay.
All right. I'm David. I have Doma Home Furnishings, and we've been actually working towards this end anyway. I'm lucky enough to be a part of a national organization that's done a lot of work already in preparation for this, called the Contemporary Design Group. It's an industry group. But long story short is we've obviously done the necessary steps to sanitize and take care of the entire showroom, all of our showrooms. We have 3 showrooms. And but from a preparation standpoint, we've have signage up on our doors actually now, because we've been working under appointment only, but we have going to restore our hours on Monday to full hours, but continue to offer appointments after hours if a client or customer doesn't feel comfortable in coming in during regular hours, so we can meet with them one-on-one. Of course, we have our signage includes data points that say, obviously practicing social distancing, which is what not only the customers, but we expect our personnel to do. We have masks as well as gloves and hand sanitizer at the entrance of the store. So if we ask clients or customers to come with them, and if they don't, we can outfit them with them. So, and it's amazing how many people have in the industry, in the channel, if you do some research, you could get masks being made by everybody's making them right now for next to nothing, if not free. So they're out there. And then we also, from a marketing standpoint, we actually ordered, I have one somewhere. We actually ordered little sanitizers that say Doma on them that we're giving to clients too. So they have a takeaway. So that is, that's the fundamental. We're fortunate in that, we don't have to manage large crowds on a regular basis. Our traffic tends to be small and steady. So we're not I would wish that was the case, but it's not. So, so we're going to continue to manage that, but work with appointments and we're ready to go. You know, our phones have been ringing. People are antsy to get back out, and which we're encouraged by. So,
Great.
And
That's
start
a,
making some money.
well, that's a great start on that right now. I just want to review what I heard just so we're capturing it all. But so sanitize everything, which is the first step.
And all the time too.
Right. I like the notion of making sure retailers can offer appointment after hours for those who don't feel safe or don't like that. So not only do you publish your public hours, but you offer that as a suggestion for those who can still come in and feel safe. I think that's a nice one. You also said you're communicating the words practice social distancing everywhere you can on every signage and everything. I think that is the words people are looking for. The PPEs for the customer are at the door, and even allowing you to get a free sanitizer as they walk out to remember that you guys care about them. So I think those are great recommendations. What I hear, was there any like, now I know you're a family, or at least I've been in your place and you guys have sold me some furniture, but yes, the notion of employee training, did you guys, how do you guys handle employee training?
We already had while we were closed, we've already had 2 Zoom meetings talking about it, and what we, talking about comfort level, we even as we restore hours, I didn't mandate that they, even though the employees, we had 90% of our employees on furlough, that if they are not comfortable with restoring the work, that they don't have to, that it will extend their furlough further if they need to, but nobody's opted for that. But that said, we've talked about the training and enforcing everything I just said relative to social distancing, cleaning. We put new requirements in for maintaining the showroom. So it's all been reviewed, and we're going to review it again on Monday when we open our doors again officially.
Did you guys discuss anything about screening your employees, or are they self-screening about their health? Or
yeah, similar to what's on the CDC requirements for ADA. I'm asking everybody within the next 30 days, contingent on the fact that testing becomes available for required workers, I'm asking everybody to get tested as a volunteer effort, but also just for our own security for themselves and the family. 1, but 2 is if at any time that anybody in their immediate family that they're exposed to is sick or they become sick, that they take leave. So until they're tested and proven safe to return. So yeah, so it's all been reviewed.
And why? And so I think everybody's taking furious notes because you've kicked this off in a great way. Had you talked to your legal teams or anybody about liability waivers or anything like that? Are you concerned about liability at all?
No, I'm actually not at this point because there's no precedence yet. So I don't know. That's why I put the onus on volunteering getting the testing. So. My attorneys still haven't suggested that we do it as a requirement yet. So we'll see.
Understand. I was just curious because we get that question a lot, and I've got a lot of law firms as members, and I'm getting some information saying there is kind of a precedent, that there's enough case law that maybe somebody could do something. That's why I'm anxious for our senator to get something out there. But I just think that we got to think through the liability stuff. Ryan, you're a lawyer. You deal with this with your firms.
Well, that's why I gave him the option out.
Okay, gotcha.
Not to employ. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think David, you're right on the option with the employee. I think also on the customer side, there is liability there to the extent that someone was to come into one of our establishments and contract COVID-19. However, the difficulty there is tracking back where did they get COVID-19, and then on top of it, did the owner of the retail establishment know that they were suscepting someone to COVID-19? And I think the way to defend that is to take the protocol that we're putting out there and the CDC is putting out there and that you're abiding by it. I think that is going to be a great defense to liability issues. Like I said, though, it's very hard to track back where it came from. And if it did, then it looks to what did you have in place?
And who gave it to who? You know?
One thing, we have a salon in downtown St. Pete, and in our network in Georgia, you know, they opened the salons already, and they are making them sign a waiver. We haven't decided yet what we're going to do. He kind of got chewed up and spit out on social media a little bit, but he did say they've only had one person not sign it, and they turned them away. And they had 2 people, actually, they used the forehead thermometers. They had 2 with fevers that they turned away. So yeah, anybody had any luck with ordering these forehead thermometers? I've ordered from 6 companies and none have arrived.
You're going to have a lot of them when they finally do. Duncan, you got?
I know. Either that or I'm getting like, it's fraud and I'm going to have to go to American Express. I'm not quite sure yet.
I'm worried about that.
Yeah. Duncan,
you're on mute.
You can try DH Gate. We got a gun in. I'm a little dubious on what effect that really has. If they don't have a fever and they're symptomatic, how does that keep that from happening? I never thought about having people sign a waiver. Is that something you would do, JP?
I think what we're trying to figure out, and Ryan, give some advice on that. I think it's about your organization's risk adversiveness. I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you guys go to businesses before COVID-19, anything that had any kind of dangerous, they would make you sign waivers, right? And those liability waivers obviously will help. Again, I think it then goes to, as you just mentioned, the woman that just spoke saying consumer confidence on that, right? That I have to sign waivers. And I guess there's no real precedence in terms of how people are going to perceive post-COVID-19 openings. But those waivers can be signed by anyone coming in to your establishment on waivers. Again, I think that there is also, as I mentioned, historically, when you look at some of these things like SARS and everything else, I think the causal connection of this will be difficult, right? Unless ultimately it finds out that you knew you had an employee that was COVID-19 positive, you didn't take precautions to it, that you knew they were in there and you didn't sanitize your space after they were in there. I think those are the issues that really bring in the liability. I think David said it also best. It'd be very difficult to find out, did the customer give it to you or you to give it to the customer? And so, again, waivers are great. I think waivers will help. And I think you'll probably start seeing a lot more of those. That's all I can probably add to that.
Does anybody know if it would be the same if you have a waiver that's, you know, laminated and actually posted on the door? Not really a waiver they sign, but one that says if you enter the premises, la la la, or is that not any better?
I can look into that. Usually those waivers, you'll see those on the back of a ticket, right? You'll buy for a baseball game, you know, and saying, hey, I'm buying this ticket, and it's automatically included that I have a waiver in here if I was to get hit by a baseball, et cetera, on some of those waivers. I've not seen it in an application where it's posted on a window and someone just walking into it automatically has somehow voluntarily agreed to it. I think that might be challenged, right, as effective, just as you see, you know, the terms of service on a lot of things on the internet, and someone said, well, I didn't agree to this, and they've made specific rules about, you know, taking an affirmative action to check a box to get into it, right, to pay something, to agree to it. So I'm not sure that just putting a general disclaimer on the door would provide you that protection. Again, any waiver you have out there, no matter what it says, if you are found to be grossly negligent or some of those things on there, I don't think that you're going to be able to get a waiver that does that, right? That will ultimately, you know, absolve you from liability that way. So now again, what is gross negligence? I don't think that, you know, you're not spreading the virus everywhere, you're not cleaning things, but I think that's something to take into consideration when you move forward and you're doing your cleaning and your routine.
The drive-through car wash up the street from us is making you sign a waiver when you go through the car wash. It's crazy.
So, I mean, yeah, you just never know. And I think, again, what we're hearing from members are some believe they should, some don't believe they need to, because what Ryan mentioned about the validity of a waiver, and then also how you're going to prove that you gave it to whom and however, because we don't even have tracing right now. So there's really, you know, it's going to be really hard for people to do that, but we're not going to offer you that advice, but I think now you've got it. But also for any of those who want to get some help on that, we talked in the last call about our business navigation team and those folks who are volunteering. And so we do have lawyers like Ryan's firm and others volunteering. So if you want to go specific with yours and have somebody review anything or those kind of things, that would be another way just to get granular on any forms that you want people to sign to see if they make sense and are right. So
yeah, and the other thing I would just add to that, Chris, is I do think until testing becomes wide range for everyone, I think it'll be very difficult to put the onus, let's say, on David King that did not get his staff tested if they were not had the ability to get tested, for him to do the symptoms, let's say by example, and he's doing everything he can. And one thing I've seen this is really nice. Most of our retailers have POS systems. When employees check in, you can do a 3 or 4 question on there. Do you have symptoms? Like David admitted, anybody in your family have symptoms? No, 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 no. Check in, I'm clocked in, right? It's a nice record that you're continuing to be on top of it, plus also making your employees aware that this is out there. But again, I do think that until you get the ability to have testing for everybody, that's going to be even tougher, because it's hard for us as retailers to be able to tell you if our employees have it if they're asymptomatic.
gotcha. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Jose?
Yeah. So from my perspective, I've spent some time thinking about this. The gaps for me, of course, is the thermometers, the testing, and the mask. I have a mask, for myself, that I use. I have a couple of them that I got from, and I should give her a plug, Monograms by Barbara, Linda. I think we all know Linda, and she's been making them. So, I use that. My approach has been, or will be, to limit the amount of people into the store at the same time. And for me, what I think works, well, you've been into my store, so it's a small store, 2 sets of customers. So you and your wife would be 1 set of customers, and and a family of 3 would be a second set of customers. Or so it could be as small as 2 at a time, or 4 or 5 at a time, and make sure that everyone understands that we're practicing social distancing. That's number 1. Number 2, put signage on the door indicating what the approach is. 2 sets of customers with a green and a red. Now it's a small store. I can easily turn it to green to red, to say, hey, please wait outside, that sort of stuff. So that has been approached. The one gap that I have is I have a NCR Silver point of sale, which is an Apple iPad. Now we have food sanitizer and a lot of Purell and I was lucky enough to get some spray, Lysol, which I've been spraying down each and every time, because I had customers reach out to me and call, and they would come in for private appointments. So that always works, which we've always done. Like David, which I think I'm going to do that once I open on Monday, to make sure that customers know that they can have some private time, starting at 7 o'clock in the evening, when we close, and make sure that I allocate time, to do that.
Can I interject something right there on the appointments too? Because this came up in another conference call I participated in.
Sure.
There is a movement. A lot of people are reevaluating even their hours of operating. So you may want to consider, so you're not feeling like you have to work 20 hours a day, because that's not good either.
Right.
As small retailers, you may want to consider, and as I am, is maybe cutting it back and saying, you know what, we're going to cut it back till 5 instead of 7, and do 5 to 7 as appointments only.
Okay.
And that becomes your window for appointments, so that way you're not stretching yourself and or your staff, and not adding additional costs, obviously, manpower hours. So those, or alternate it, some evening appointments, and then maybe 2 days a week you do morning appointments and you open later. Things to consider, because in the new normal, I think people are open to the idea of, and a lot of people still are home, of evaluating the times they shop and so forth, and so something to consider.
Yeah.
Could I add something to Jose, just to ask you? I was thinking about this, a couple points in that question. One was when I thought about DOMA, and I thought about, Jose, your store, Sartorial, I was thinking about, exposed pricing, right? So no one has to go grab for a tag on a piece of furniture. No one has to grab for a tag on a shirt, right? There's people touching it and they might ultimately not want to buy your stuff because they don't want to look at it.
Right.
So possibly having the pricing, everything here is this, or it's visible and it's big and it's shown face up, on a piece of furniture or on a shirt or a tie or on a section. I think that would probably be a way for us retailers to put pricing out there. So no one's saying, I really want that shirt, but I don't want to touch that. I don't want to fumble through the shirts and look for the medium. I think some of those things to think about. I did say that, you mentioned about limiting your place for a couple of people in groups. One thing that I've done in a lot of cocktail bars do, and I own Mandarin Hyde, but when this comes back, I've already thought ahead. And there's bars in New York. Essentially, they come in, you say, hey, listen, I'll take down your text number. I'll text you when someone leaves, right, to bring it in. It definitely gives an exclusiveness, and I'll tell you, people have nothing to do, so they're going to walk around a beach drive waiting for your text, right? Oh, your spot's available, right? And the likelihood probably of making a sale probably goes up on that point. The other things I wanted to ask you guys, one, obviously Apple Pay is available. I have Toast on payrolls on my pay systems, and for $150, they give me the cardless where I don't touch it now, it's on the table, and the consumer puts their credit card in, and there's never, a lot of the POS systems have that feature. It's about $100, but I would recommend that. Going back to Doma, and that's limiting cash, but going to the Doma, I had a question, thought about your business, and I'm doing at my restaurants, gloves and masks for guests. At yours, you ever thought about booties? I see this stuff about people tracking, on their feet of having these booties, which you can get because no one's really buying booties.
You mean like for delivery, at the time of delivery?
Well, no, I'm saying like the booties, like when they come on to shop in your store, they put booties on, or a booty is an option. Like people see houses.
No, but that's a good question.
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't
hand down hazmat suits.
Well, people put booties on when they go to people's houses, when they're looking at open houses, but I've seen this articles that, people believe, again, the data versus maybe consumer confidence, right? And there's a lot of things on the TV about, COVID can be tracked with your feet, right?
Right.
So again, just making that customer feel comfortable, and the booties, no one's really jumping for, right? So they're easier to get. As for masks, if anybody needs masks, I have a gentleman who's providing me masks, and I bought, a couple thousand, and they just I keep coming, whoever wants them, I keep buying more of them. And so I don't know how long the pipeline lasts. They're boxes of 50. They're 3-ply medical surgical masks. They're not N95s. And they're roughly, when they get here, and it takes 3 days to get here, and they're $1 a piece. I mean, they're not cheap in the grand sense of things, but if you were really in need and wanted to have them at the door for customers, let me know.
Okay.
That's awesome, Ryan. I'm going to make sure that, I'm sure these people hear it, but we get people that ask that a lot. So I'm going to turn them on to you if they're scrambling for that. All right. So I've heard a lot of good conversations. Karen, you didn't have a chance to kind of review any other, you got specific on yours. Is there any other things you're doing to prepare that you haven't heard yet that you can share as best practices, or any questions?
I don't know about heard, but I am going to find out if I can. We have two businesses. So we have one salon that's in downtown St. Pete, and then we also have the Aveda distributorship for Florida. So we have 250 salons, that we distribute to, for close to that have closed down across the state. So we've been working way many more hours than we normally work, trying to get all of those salons getting their PPP loans, and just keeping them updated. So we have webinars twice a week, but we just today rolled out with Aveda, and because it's also Aveda's kind of manual, I just need to get clearance that I can send it, but I was planning on emailing that out to you all. And it's basically, it's 4 salons. It's 65 pages. So it's salon reopening guide, but it goes, we thought of we went through trying to think of everything. So it's not really retail, but I hopped on this because we open our retail portion of it on Monday, which is going to be kind of my litmus test for, are we really ready for the other side, where they're touching them and, it being a little more in your face, as you put it. So I feel like it's been like the Hunger Games trying to get supply. So because we're getting masks, shields. I'm trying to get thermometers. That's the one I'm stuck on that they haven't arrived. Everything else has pretty much arrived, but I'll be happy to share the list of the vendors where I've been able to find them, because some of them are local. They're in Georgia versus China. Some of them are not. Some of them I don't really know where they come. I order it and then I pray that the box shows up, and I can't even really get a human on the phone. So, however, I had 1,000 of my mask, like the type he was talking about, show up, and I think they were maybe like 58, 60 cents a piece. I'm not really sure. And then I found better masks actually, or shields, some that you can actually print a logo on. So I have both types arriving. So in probably about 3 or 4 days, I'll know which ones are the best and who actually gets it to you relatively quickly, but I have no problem sharing that pricing as well. So if I can get clearance, you would just have to know that you may want to just pick and pull out of it stuff that's maybe more generic for all businesses versus a salon.
I appreciate that, Karen. I would really, if you get clearance, I won't cut and paste, but I will learn from that so that I can really provide that to others, especially in the salon industry. As I'm sure you've seen, there are a lot of members who are really scrambling for help on this. So I'd love.
Yeah, it is scary stuff. I mean, even the stylists are scared. We first paid all of our people for 2 weeks and just paid them, didn't furlough them, and we're like, okay, these people, like, they've worked a long time. We can't just like throw them to the wolves. And then we're like, okay, well, the wolves are going to eat us up if we keep them much longer. So we had to furlough them. Luckily, we only furloughed them a week, and we had our PPP money. So we brought them back on, and they had to go through the whole unemployment crisis, which some of them have not been paid. Others keep getting paid when they shouldn't get paid. And I say, I tell them, save that money. They're going to come back and ask for it, like, just because they're sending you checks, like, because we brought them back on a week later. So we're having, like, all the same problems that everybody else is having. But yeah, anything that we can help or provide, absolutely.
Oh, that's all. Sorry about that. That's awesome. I appreciate that, Karen.
Sure.
So there's a few other folks that I don't see your faces, but I see your names. Is there any other thoughts? How we kick this off is, and actually, we're putting together kind of just a checklist of those things that we wanted to include. We've talked about sanitizing your facility. We've talked about first consider your hours of operation because you may want to continue to have hours, but you may want to make some of those be appointment only hours. And you can really create a relationship with your customer that way. And oh, by the way, if you do it right and they're waiting at the door and you don't have an appointment, you can get a new text number, and those numbers are very valuable to your business and marketing anyways. So we've learned about how to handle hours. We've learned about how important it is that your signage really preach the words practice social distancing, that there's really a common word everywhere you look around about the signage talking about that. So you're re-encouraging it. We talked about there's opportunities to offer your customers PPEs at the door, everything from sanitizer, gloves, masks, and now booties. We've talked about even offering sanitizer as a gift afterwards in the little goodie bags or whatever of your branded ones. We also talked about just how do you handle this 25%, and the only way we really know how to do that is the limit in the number of customers, and that's kind of that spacing that we've talked about a little bit. The idea that I heard that I hadn't heard in any of the calls was this exposed pricing. So if you're a retailer and you don't want people to go through everything that you're and make sure that they feel like they can quickly get in and get out and not touch too much and be disruptive, exposed pricing is good. And then we just talked about the debate on how to get in the supply chain of masks and others and helping each other on that. I hope so. What we're going to do with that is just put it down. We're going to send it back out to all of our members in retail and others. We're going to ask others to chime in of what they have doing as well, so that any member who didn't get on this call can quickly click on it and see this list. But also, we're going to present this to the city council and the mayor as things that we know that good businesses are doing, so that if they get a business saying, I don't know what to do, they can tell them this is what good businesses are doing. If you tell me that you're doing these things, or you send me your policies and procedures, we're going to put that bright, shiny poster you allow us to somewhere near your door or your building. And we're going to start telling the consumers of St. Pete and Pinellas County that you're one of the good burgers, one of those companies that we understands what we know, which is practicing social distancing. We're doing everything we can to keep you and us safe, right? Mm-hmm. That's how we're going to handle it. Is there any other ideas or thoughts about what I just described, Karen?
One thing we are also going to do, this won't help Doma, I don't think, but we're going to do, unless it's for something small, we're going to also do curbside pickup. If somebody wants to call in advance, place their order, give us their credit card, then we'll actually just take it out and put it in their trunk for them when they text and let us know that they've come. At the couch, that may not work.
Right. I Yeah, one of the things I'd also add is, one is a different way to look at it, not for your customers, for your vendors, encouraging less deliveries, instead of a couple times a week, maybe you only get it once a week. Door drops on those deliveries from your vendors, so that, you're reducing the amount of people that are coming through your store or shop, or if you ultimately have customers in there and all of a sudden you have 3 vendors come in, you're eliminating the ability to have customers in there. So obviously when you're not working, I think those, and the only other one was for bigger retailers, maybe to work in teams, right? Essentially keep your 4 people together in one team, and then the next team comes in, as opposed to, because if you did have someone who's sick, that's probably rotating it all the way around, right? So possibly looking at that depending on the size of your organization.
Yeah, that is what we did as well, for not so much for retail, for prepping for when the salon actually opens, because we to say 6 feet apart, we won't be able to have more than probably 7 to 9 stylists. So we actually did that. We have an A schedule, a B schedule. We're open 5 days a week. Now we're going to open up 7 days a week, and we're going to shift them so that if one team gets infected, the tracing's easier and they can just stop. We can disinfect, and only the others would be able to then work.
Wow,
if at all.
yeah.
Chris,
We're doing the same thing with our employees, trying to keep them separated. For an example, we can have Eric working in the back where he's the only person in the building. I think keeping the separation, but the main thing is making our customers feel safe. And I think we're starting very slow on purpose. We're going to be going to on reservation only, scheduling it out that way. The only thing that I would add, I just want to do it very slow, because I want to gain faith with our clients that come over, that we're doing all the procedures. The only other thing that I would suggest, and we're going to be doing it in our restrooms as well, is have a form and check off what time everything's been sanitized. And yes, that is a great marker to keep your team motivated in doing that. But more than anything, it tells the customer that you're up on it. And I think that's going to be the key in getting people to come back out and feel comfortable in doing that.
I love that, Duncan, about the visible checklist as well, as far as that confidence, because I really do believe what we're all arriving to is they're as nervous as we are that we're doing this right. So we got to make them even more comfortable than we are right now. And that's a good way to do it.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Jose. I'll go after you.
Okay, I just had a quick question. Every time I look on television, and particularly in Europe and so forth, I see this aerosol spray, or they do it on airplanes, but I haven't seen anybody talk about it or utilize it here. What is that? It seems to meaning a major aerosol that you just spray down the streets and spray down stores and stuff like that. But
I saw it in the China videos. I saw it in the China videos.
Right.
We've been using a sterilizer after everything's cleaned, a bleach solution that dissipates. Then we hit everything with the sanitizer in a very fine mist. I bought a battery powered so I don't have to keep pumping. And it does do a very nice fog over the whole thing. If you saturate something, it will look wet, but it is an extra step that you can do. I can get the name of the product I was able to get in, and I'll submit that into you when we send information, Chris.
Gosh, Duncan, if you can, because I know that's what Dontrell Lawson did for our place. They used that mist as well, and they talked about that just because you first have to clean everything very, very good for that to work, actually, because it can't sit on top of the dirt. It's got to sit on top of the surface you're trying to sanitize. So part of it is making sure that you have someone do it professionally, or like Duncan, know exactly the process of cleaning very good, and then letting that mist sit and dry on so Duncan's not wiping down anything after he lets that mist go. He's letting it sit, and it has to dry, and each product, there's ones that have to dry for 15 minutes or 30 minutes before it's been known to kill the virus. So I do think that you should learn about that. And like I said, Dontrell Lawson from JPACID also can do that. I'd love to get Duncan's source of what he does internally, but there are people that do that well. And I would encourage you to really think about that, just again, for that liability issue of, you can say, I had it done. I know that.
Right, yeah. Now, naturally, I have to stay away from the bleach. Not sure you want to put bleach, spray the entire clothing store with bleach. But,
I'm making good recommendations on cleaning products inside or outside of any building or body. How about that? Okay.
And we are installing, with technology and things that you can't actually see. You just have to go with good faith that the companies actually, have their patent and it actually works. But we're actually installing it on May 11th, and it's a system by a company called Senexis, Senexis. You can look it up. But anyway, it puts out some type of gas that basically that's fine for humans. It's in a lot of the Wendy's restaurants, I believe, and it supposedly kills the microbial, whatever they are. I'm not a scientist, but anyway, it supposedly will kill anything in the air or on a surface within an hour. So stuff that normally would live 3 days, it will kill it. So yes, we're not going to rely on that. We're doing all the same disinfectant and just Marvicide, anything that everybody else is doing, but we're also going to have that in our air ducts. So it's basically installed on the other side of the vent in the actual air duct. So even if you're in a building, air is coming from somebody else, it's going to clean it. It's going to go through that and push that into your air. Wow. So that it would actually kill that. Yes?
Yeah, I had a quick recommendation. I don't know if anybody knows what this is. It's called a Lamberger. It was originally designed for hospitals because it has no open flame and it disinfects the air. And it has been said to be proven that the Lambergers are working for at least the bacteria in the air.
All right.
You say that is one with the flame, or where you light it and then you put it out?
You light it and then you blow it out. And so it's got a wick, and basically it's pretty much all alcohol, and you can put like essential oils in it or that kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty, it's convenient, it keeps going.
Nice.
I did have a question for retailers like Jose. And this is Wendy, by the way, Liz Shop St. Petersburg. And so the question was, so I go in there, not me, but say Brian, and try on clothing, and I have COVID ID or COVID-19, right? Or I think I got it there, or you go into a retail place and you pick up, people touch everything, unfortunately, and they have to be told not to. But in his case or other retailers, how do we get that point across? Or like he was saying, is there some sort of spray that won't damage his clothes that we can insert in there? Or does anybody else have other suggestions? Because I think that's a challenge for, he's got gorgeous clothes in there. And, the other retailers, maybe a hand-blown piece of glass, at Ocean Blue or something, want to touch it. So then you can't wipe down everything in between every customer. And you can't protect the clothing from somebody trying it on. And likely they don't want to buy it unless they can try it on. Or they just know their size, maybe. I don't know.
That's a great question, Jose. I know you probably don't want to be put on the hook, but have you talked about how you're going to do trying on and because I know that the materials that I like that when we did our sanitation, there were some materials that didn't work with and some that it did. So I know Duncan's doing something similar where he knows that it's working on the material. I don't know about cloth material and these misters. I don't know the answer to that. Do you or?
Well, one of the things that we actually thought about this, and we thought that no try-ons for the foreseeable future. Now, mind you, Chris, you can come, you can buy it, you can take it home and return it. And then what we thought we would do is if you bought it, tried it on, returned it, it just didn't fit, then we would keep it and quarantine it, for lack of a better description, you know, for 48 hours or something, you know, something to that effect. The other thing we thought we would do is if it, we would steam it, because we have a industrial steamer here and we steam clothes all the time. So that, you know, Natalie thought, well, why not, if somebody tries it on, then just you know, just to steam it. But we thought it may be best, you know, not to allow try-ons, which is, you know, that may work in a gap or something to that. But, you know, the kind of service we offer here, typically we want to make sure it fits you right. And, you know, and sometimes we also have to do hemming and stuff like that. We've addressed that by being behind the customer versus in front of the customer.
Yeah, I think that's the safest bet, Wendy, is like, I think you need to consider that as part of it, is like what we talked about, so that they don't touch the clothes as much. And I know that's going to be hard and it's not going to be realistic, but this notion of exposed pricing and exposed sizing and all those kind of things, so that they're not rifling through things, that they want to see how much that sport coat is, and they can tell and they can see it. But I think we're all in that same predicament of that's going to be a lot harder. And I think that's why this 25%, so you guys can see the first week what the real experience is like. And you may realize you wish it was 10% of capacity, or you may realize you can do more. But I think that's the unfortunate part. Wendy, the other part of just how to clean, you know, I don't mean to keep dropping Dontrell Lawson's name, but he does ours. And I had him on our show, and I just thought he did a great job of helping people understand, even if he doesn't do it, how to do it and what materials you for what things. So I'd love to turn you on to him, just so he can kind of walk you through what he knows about it, because that's his profession. And he gave me a great deal of confidence of make sure you're doing it right, or it's not worth it at all, as I think Karen mentioned, that you just don't know. Mm-hmm. All right, so I've got a great list. I got a good start. Is there anything other people can contribute or add or subtract from or be concerned about throughout this? Like I said, what I'm trying to do is put this list together, share it with everybody, make it even better, but then share it with the community so they know what to be looking for, and then to be matching that with some bright colored signs around for people who understand that this is how we're going to operate, and reward those by sharing social media and other things, saying these are the people that are open, this is what they're doing. The Tampa Bay Times has offered us free space in the Sunday edition to promote those businesses that are doing this. So there's opportunities, if we behave correctly, to get the exposure for your businesses to get up and running. So
are you going to send that list? Are you going to send that list out on an email blast?
Yes. Yeah, I sure will. Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Wendy. Yep.
Hey, Chris and Ryan, thank you. This has been very, very helpful. Truly appreciate the effort.
Great.
Yeah,
well, we're not done yet, guys, as far as like helping. So any ideas you have, please let us know. We're going to get back to you, but please contact us if there's anything you can do that can help us or be concerned about. And because we just want to get out May 4th the right way, and you guys helped us today. So thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you guys out and about someday soon, right?
Indeed.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Hey.
Take care, Ryan. Bye.